Hello, and welcome to the News in a Hurry for March 8th, 2013.
I'm Travis Volker, and this is my co-host, William Space Reagan Welch.
Schools in a Pennsylvania county were put on lockdown recently because of a student's ringtone. The student had his own rendition of the theme song to the 1990s show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as his ringtone, and when a receptionist heard it, she thought she heard shooting people outside of the school. The receptionist reported this to the police, and the boy was soon arrested. After hearing the ringtone for themselves, authorities released the student.
A study done at the University of Iowa shows that the size of a woman's feet can change permanently during pregnancy. The study found that during pregnancy, the arches of the feet flatten, which lead to the foot increasing in both length and width for 60 to 70% of women. Scientists hope to research if this change can affect health problems later in life.
SpaceX Dragon, an unmanned freight rocket, made its delivery to the International Space Station. Its takeoff was delayed by 2 days due to steering thruster trouble.
A computer glitch in the main computer for the Mars rover caused it to be put into safe mode and switched to a backup computer. The project manager said it might take a week to get everything back and reconfigured. The cause of the glitch appears to be a memory corruption from an as-yet unknown source. The rover will be able to operate normally under the backup computer until this issue is resolved.
Radiation can be a huge problem for humans in space, especially on long voyages. The team behind the planned mission to Mars now says they will use human waste as a shield during the trip. Water and organic material can make an effective radiation shield, so the walls of the capsule would be packed with food and water. As those get used, they would be replaced by packages of human waste.
For the first time ever, a child has been functionally cured of HIV. The baby girl who was born with HIV was treated with standard drug therapy very early, and she now shows no signs of the virus copying itself even without the use of drugs. Doctors knew the baby was at high risk for contracting HIV and put her on antivirals when she was only 30 hours old. They believe this contributed to the cure by preventing the disease from forming viral reservoirs which lie dormant and are not affected by standard medications.
Yankees outfielder Ichiro Suzuki is fine after his SUV was totaled in an accident while he was driving home from a spring training game. Ichiro entered an intersection on a green light when he was struck by another car. The other driver was cited by the police.
A joke that aired on CBS's Mike and Molly show has brought harsh criticism upon the network. A character said, "Arizona? Why would I move to Arizona? It's nothing but a furnace full of drunk Indians." Officials of the Navajo Nation are demanding an apology.
Former NBA star Michael Jordan applied for a marriage license. He's been dating his fiancée, Cuban-American model Yvette Prieto, since 2011.
One unfortunate Florida man is presumed dead after a sinkhole swallowed most of his house. The sudden event happened on a Thursday night, and on Saturday, the search for the man was called off due to the dangerous conditions and lack of any signs of life. Officials will now proceed to demolishing the house and getting a better look at the hole.
Authorities had to end a fight that broke out between 400 inmates at a complex in Arizona. A Department of Corrections spokesperson said authorities were able to quickly stop the altercation. 2 staff suffered minor injuries, and 5 inmates were taken to the hospital.
Daylight savings is on Sunday, March 10th this year. The clock goes ahead 1 hour in the spring, so make sure to get to bed early Saturday night.
Jeb Bush, former governor of Florida, has spoken out in favor of a middle ground on the subject of illegal immigrants. He is advocating for a method to allow illegal immigrants already here permanent residence without making them citizens. He also supports an option to return to their home country and then apply for citizenship through the standard methods.
A 7-year-old boy in Baltimore was suspended from school for 2 days for shaping his pastry into a gun. The boy and his father said that the boy was trying to shape it into a mountain by taking bites out of it, but that it was misidentified by a teacher.
12-year-old Bailey O'Neill was taken off life support and died in Philadelphia Monday. Bailey's death is the culmination of a violent altercation with another boy 2 months prior that left him with a broken nose and a concussion. The hospital released him the day of the fight after diagnosing the concussion, but had to readmit and then put him in a medically induced coma when seizures began.
They've arrived on the beach just in time for spring break, unwanted as they may be. 15,000 sharks have hit Florida and are migrating up the east coast. The sharks are swimming very near the beaches at about 200 yards out.
The Obama administration will provide the Senate Intelligence Committee access to all Justice Department's written opinions regarding targeted drone assassinations of suspected terrorists. This agreement came days before the Senate was expected to vote to confirm Brennan, the president's counterterrorism advisor.
Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky is filibustering John Brennan, Obama's nominee for CIA director. Paul is pointing in particular to a letter he received from Attorney General Eric Holder that said the U.S. government had the legal authority to kill a U.S. citizen on American soil. This is an abuse of executive power and civil liberties, according to Rand Paul, who believes Americans have a right to a trial by a jury of their peers.
French operatives have killed Abu Zaid, a notorious commander of al-Qaeda's North Africa wing. Abu Zaid was one of the 40 militants killed near the border of Algeria as part of a French and Chadian campaign to dislodge the fighters from northern Mali.
A powerful explosion in Pakistan's largest city killed 45 Shiites as they left a mosque. No one immediately claimed responsibility, but a violent Sunni militant group, which has already killed 200 this year, is suspected.
Scottish Cardinal Keith O'Brien has admitted to claims of sexual misconduct and has stepped down as Archbishop. He delivered an apology for his misconduct and has stated that he will spend the rest of his life in retirement and not take part in the public life of the Catholic Church.
Queen Elizabeth II left a hospital Monday under her own power after having been treated for suspected gastroenteritis. This was her first hospitalization in 10 years.
3 weeks prior to Passover, Egypt has been hit with the plague of locusts. The swarms, amounting to 30 million locusts, are responsible for destroying crops and other agricultural damage. Dr. Maman noted that meteorological data suggests strong winds will push the swarm towards the Red Sea and Saudi Arabia.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that Iran is getting closer and closer to a nuclear red line. The red line is the point at which they would be able to build a nuclear weapon. Prime Minister Netanyahu said there must be a clear and credible military threat if diplomacy and economic sanctions fail.
According to an Iraqi security source, a border crossing with Syria was closed when the Syrian government lost control of that checkpoint to rebel forces. Iraqi security forces did allow wounded Syrian military members to cross the border for humanitarian reasons.
Venezuela's President Hugo Chavez is dead after his health took another turn for the worse. Chavez, who had been waging an epic battle with cancer, developed a severe respiratory infection recently and ultimately died.
A Soviet soldier who's been missing in action since 1980 during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan has been found. Now living under the name Sheikh Abdullah, he works as a traditional healer in western Afghanistan. He sustained a head injury in the battle and was nursed back to health by a village elder and herbal healer who taught him the trade. 3-year-old
Julia would have likely died if not for her canine friend. Julia went missing and spent the night laying in a marsh in Poland, where the temperatures got down to 23 degrees. This heroic pup laid with her through the night, providing her with likely life-saving warmth.
And that's all for your News in a Hurry. You can find our show notes in the description if you'd like to learn more about a story.
To suggest a story, you can find our email below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the News in a Hurry.